What's up guys, this is Maliss and welcome to the OCG metagame breakdown number 9 and 10. This one is actually huge, 243 top performing decks, so a larger sample size than usual, right? Sometimes it's like 150 or something like that. Alright, 260, yeah, that one was also pretty big, 105, that's kind of small. And then this one, 178, so yeah, this should be relatively decent sample size. So the fact that Maliss is now taking over Ryzeal is actually very interesting. And there's also something else that's rather interesting in this breakdown. But yeah, anyways, before we go any further, y'all know the drill. Smash the like, subscribe button, really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And also huge shoutouts to my Christron and Blue Eye spreadsheet. You can find them on my website. The link will be at the very top of the description box below. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so out of 243 top performing decks, again, it's not just the decks that people play at tournaments, but rather the decks that are doing well at events in a bunch of countries. So this is very relevant because sometimes in like one specific country, maybe a deck is going to perform better than the other, and then in another country, then it's the other way around. We've got 66 Maliss, so that's actually quite interesting. So it's really funny how even without a ban list, Maliss just randomly is leapfrogging Ryzeal out of absolutely nowhere. But again, they do have Appaloosa, and also there's some new innovations that people are utilizing in order to not really, I guess, lose to... Not really new innovation, it's kind of like old, but... it actually won a tournament very recently in, I forgot the country, Malaysia maybe, or China, I don't know. Yeah, no, it actually wasn't that. Might have been Singapore, no, okay. Alright, yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay, so it didn't win the event, but it got second place. That close enough, but whatever. It was a 60 card deck, and that's actually the theme of what I'm trying to say, right? It's the fact that Maliss can be played as a 60 card deck with Aggrass Looks Greener and Fairy Tale Snow. And it's actually really good at breaking boards, going second. You know, your opponent has Detonator, you just go, okay, mill 25 cards or something. Even more if your opponent activated Desires, which is really big right now. So maybe you might want to consider playing a Triple Tactic Thrust and that Grass Looks Greener in your decks. Maybe not Maliss because there's no Fairy Tale Snow. But yeah, and then, yeah, you just break your opponent's board. But if you are watching this and you're in the TCG, nobody gives two shits because, again, Fairy Tale Snow is banned. So this version of the deck is dog shit. Alright, okay, cool. Ryzeal. Alright, so that's obviously a really good deck, and, you know, Star Ryzeal makes it so that hand shops are basically useless against the deck, which is very frustrating. And board breakers are also really bad, because if you draw like one Ultimate Slayer or one Metaltronius, you are going nowhere. It's very easy for them to just still have a Baguska or another Detonator through your Ultimate Slayer or Metaltronius, so it's really not gonna lead to much of anything. Third place is a Primite Blue Eyes, but it's pretty much tied with White Forest, so I guess you can say it's kind of like the... yeah, both of them are kind of like the third best deck. And the White Forest is actually one heck of a combo deck post the new support from Alliance Insight. Yeah, there we go. So a lot of new cards just came out, right? Some Sinful Spoils cards and some actual White Forest cards, because this deck, it just feels like it kept getting indirect support for the longest time, but it wasn't good enough. That's the reason why people kept splashing other engines in the deck, like... I don't know, like Runic, for example, or, I don't know, like the Toy Engine and Fiendsmith and etc. But now you can literally play it as an actual White Forest deck, obviously with the Azaminas, because you bridge into the White Forest engine anyway, so it doesn't really, you know, denaturalize the deck. But you can also still play the Fiendsmith cards if you really want to. Might be more relevant in the TCG because we don't have Appaloosa, so if you want to respect Nibiru, then your best bet is by making a Caesar. And you can also play some other engines like Kashtira. Kashtira is dog shit in the OCG because... obviously, Fenrir is banned, and Unicorn is at 1, so you're not really going too far. But yeah, very good deck, very scary, and Blue Eyes is Blue Eyes. It's a mid-range deck, usually. Nobody's really playing this as a combo deck, even though there is a way to play Blue Eyes as a hardcore combo deck, and I do think it's really worth exploring, and it might become really good in the near future. But yeah, anyways, Orcust, still a good deck. Obviously, Fiendsmith Orcust, I think, is the way to go. But in the OCG, they don't care about consistency, right? Who cares? And also, if you Lancia the pure Orcust deck, it doesn't do anything. So why would you play this when you can just play Maliss instead? Makes absolutely zero sense. If you want to lose to Lancia, you might as well play the better deck, right? I don't really believe too much in Orcust just because of lack of consistency, not because of lack of resilience. This deck absolutely does not lose to hand traps at all. And honestly, if they draw well, and you draw hand traps, like multiple Veilers and stuff, pack up your hand. You just go to the next game because you're basically hand looping yourself for like 2 to 3 cards, and your opponent is making the exact same board. You might as well just draw 0 hand traps and draw board breakers instead. That way, there is no way you lose. And also, the Chummies are very good against this deck. Well, I mean, especially like you know, Furos, but also Nialis can be really good. You know, they do summon back from the graveyard a fair bit. You can even like use it on your own turn. It's not too bad. Memento, obviously, still a really good deck. It's always going to be up there. Fiendsmith Evil Twin. So this deck actually won Malaysia. Yeah, there you go. All right, okay. I'm not messing up anymore. And obviously with the Evil Twin engine, it's like particularly broken because you can use the Evil Twin... Is that Leela or Kisikil? I always get mixed up. I think this is Kisikil. And then you go into the Kisikil Link 1 and then into Requiem because for some reason this is Light Fiend. I don't understand card design. It makes absolutely zero sense. And they still have Lacrima, obviously, so they can do quite a lot of things because Lacrima is a little broken in this version since you can revive back any Light Fiend, including like your Trouble Sunny. I'm pretty sure you can revive back any Light Fiend. It's not just a Light Fiend in defense position, so you should be able to revive back your Link monsters. So yeah, a very scary deck and very consistent, a decent amount of starters. So yeah, 3, 6, 8, I think 9, I forgot. And then, yeah, 11, 14 or something, and then the Fiendsmith cards themselves. Then, yeah, so yeah, you're basically never breaking, and also you're always drawing, like, 2 hand shops, right? Like, 3, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17 hand shops, and then the 2 Call by the Graves and the Crossout. Half of your deck, exactly, are non-engine cards. It's absurd. 20 out of 40. It's absolutely crazy. This deck is really cool if you just want, like, a one-card combo deck that just plays a bunch of non-engine. I really do recommend, and I do think it's going to be a great deck to look into for Alliance Insight format. So that will be Rhode Island, actually, if you're trying to go to that YCS. Keep an eye out on this deck, really recommend. Now, Christron, this guy has the right idea. He's playing Kashtira cards, but by Kashtira cards, I mean Unicorn and Birth, because, again, there's no Fenrir. And yeah, if you want to really have success with Crystron, I really do recommend playing a Kashtira package in your deck. Those cards are insanity, like extremely good. Even if you don't draw like multiple Kashtiras, it doesn't matter because one Fenrir eventually gets you to engine. If you have access to my spreadsheet, you should be able to understand everything, and also you can ask me questions on the Discord server, and we have a really nice community out there, so really recommend checking out my Crystron spreadsheet. I'm really saying this as, you know, someone trying to give you nice advice, not as a salesman, trust me, but Crystron best deck. I really do believe in it. If I didn't believe in this deck, I wouldn't have traveled 30 hours in flights to go to Australia, the other end of the world, to play a deck that I thought was shit. So again, let that sink in. And also, the plane ticket was expensive as hell, and I had to pay like thousands of dollars for that trip, so yeah, again, I really do believe in this deck. When I say that Crystron is a great deck, I mean it. It's not copium, it's not clickbait. I really do think Crystron is in the top 5 best decks if you play it correctly. As a matter of fact, I even think Crystron is better than Memento, and Orcust doesn't exist at the current moment. White Force is not good at the current moment. So honestly, yeah, you can take this, you put it up there, and also you put Mermail up there, because right now Mermail in the OCG kind of sucks ass because they don't have Toad. So yeah, the format for me would be like Ryzeal, Maliss, Blue Eyes, Crystron, and Mermail. Well, Mermail probably better than Crystron. Both are water decks, but they're all great at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter too much at this point. We're really just going over small details. Anyways, Regenesis, another deck that I think is fantastic. And I've been saying that these cards are great since day one. You, again, really should be looking into these cards, and I don't think it's going to be played as a pure deck, but rather as an engine in some other decks. So, for example, right now we've got 4 Regenesis here, and they all play supplemental packages in their deck, like Dogmatica, because the Fleur de Lis and the Maximus, they all have 2500 attack and or defense, so you can reveal them to summon your Regenesis, or if you control them, then you can also summon, so that's really cool. Metal Morph, and Dogmatica, I don't really understand the synergy, but I'm sure it makes sense. And then Diabel, obviously, because Diabel Star, the Black Witch, has 2500 attack. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with the Regenesis package. You can also play Kashtira Regenesis. You can play Regenesis Stun. Infinite possibilities. I think it's a fantastic engine. Definitely similar to like the Kashtira engine, but it's actually much bigger. And we have less starters for the Regenesis cards, but a lot of recursions. So once you get the ball going, this is one of the craziest engines in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's very similar to like Runic, in the sense where your early game is going to be a little slow, but again, post turn 1, you are playing the best deck in the room. It's nuts. But yeah, Lawnmowing Despia, Atlantean obviously sucks in the OCG, Code Talker, whatever the hell this is. Okay, yeah, there you go, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. Nice deck. A lot of Fiendsmith decks. Gimmick Puppet. Nice deck. Okay, sure. Prime blah, blah. Okay, who cares? Alright, okay, let's look into Maliss now. Alright, so just like I explained, they have 3 Fairy Tale Snow alongside That Grass Looks Greener. That's the reason why the 60-card version is quite popular in the OCG. We've seen 6 out of 66, so basically 10%, more like 9%, but yeah, that's still solid nonetheless. So yeah, it's I mean, it's a cool deck, but it does break a little more because you also won't have access to like the cards that you're really trying to see more often, but you do draw like you drown the bricks a little more as well. but you play more bricks anyway, so I think it translates to being the same, if not maybe a little worse, because now you can draw like random Fairy Tale Snows, random like bad cards in your deck, and also they only have 3 Bestials, so if you don't mail a Fairy Tale Snow and you activate that Grass Looks Greener, and you don't have a Bestial, there's a world in which all of your mails are useless. Think about it. You mail a bunch of Malice monsters, a bunch of trap cards, a bunch of droplets, a bunch of field spells, a bunch of hand traps. You mailed a bunch of cards, but you're doing nothing, and then the rest of your hand is just a bunch of hand traps and like the wrong cards to combo with. I mean, that would be absolutely freaking terrible. So yeah, but however, it feels really nice when you activate that Grass Looks Greener and your opponent Change Shifter. That randomly, all of a sudden, makes your deck better. So it's the one situation where you actually want that to happen. It would make it so that even if you don't mail Fairy Tale Snow, that's fine. But yeah, it's still a really nice deck, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it just because it's not a thing in the TCG, just because Fairy Tale Snow is not a thing, even though we have that Grass Looks Greener. Okay, Ryzeal, the only interesting thing here is that, well, first of all, there's Sakitama alongside 2 Molchimi Pearly on the main deck, but I don't really care about that too much. Solemn Strike in the main deck is interesting, but not like super spicy, because we've also seen Cameron Neal main deck Solemn Strike and win YCS 3v3 San Salvador alongside Chris Urena and Kamal Crooks. So it's always cool to see that you know, you can main deck actual trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And get away with it, because going first the card is insane. It's honestly one of the best trap cards in the entire game right now. And going second, it's not like utter garbage, because your opponent is making a half board with all the hand traps that you have, and then you break half of the board, or maybe all of it, but then you don't set up like a crazy board, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's Ryzeal, right? You're not like OT-king your opponent and breaking 7 negates, so you gotta grind with your opponent, and Solemn Strike can allow you to control your opponent's follow-up, so that's the reason why it's still there in the main deck. And when you're going first, you have even more going first cards that you can bring in, like Metal Chonus, Solemn Judgment, etc. So it does make sense to main deck Solemn Strike, depending on your strategy. If you're watching this and you're playing at YCS 3v3 Las Vegas this weekend, I do recommend being aware of the existence of this card, because if people main deck Solemn Strike, they're most likely on a board breaker approach, because one really good strategy right now is to play a lot of removal cards like Ultimate Slayer and Metal Chonus, so that you just get rid of everything, and then you can set a bunch of back rows so that even if your hand is not necessarily the best or your opponent had the hand traps, you at least have the ability to like clear everything and then stop your opponent's follow-up completely. Whereas with hand traps, Solemn Strike might be a little less efficient depending on the situation, but there's a lot of ways to make this card work, like I said. And yeah, there's something else, by the way, to mention about the Archfiend Seraph. This one, it searches Artifact Lancia, but there was another rank 5 that searches Artifact Lancia, that is Ragna Infinity. And huge shoutouts to Lucas Sacco, by the way. But Ragna Infinity is a water monster with 2800 attack. So if you play Metal Chonus, you're better off playing Ragna Infinity over Archfiend Seraph, so that if your opponent has DDD Wave Hiking Caesar, you can target the Caesar and then special summon Ragna Infinity from your extra deck. Whereas this is not a Metal Chonus target. So even these small details can matter. Even though you're not summoning these monsters, you're really just revealing them for 7 Tachyon. It could matter. And also the fact that Masquerade is a light attribute monster with 2700 attack matters more than you think, and if you're smart enough to guess why I'm saying this, you deserve a hard react, actually. So yeah, let's see what you guys have to say in the comment. Anyways, next up we've got Blue Eyes. I really don't like the fact that this guy has decided to add an 8th brick to the deck, because obviously the main Blue Eyes list has 7 bricks in the form of 2 Blue Eyes, 1 Field Spell, 1 Roar, 1 Shoelight, 1 Majesty, and 1 Drill Beam. I'm very strict when I say bricks. What I mean to say is a card that doesn't single-handedly get your stuff going, or prevent your opponent from playing the game in some way or another. But now there's also a Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, so 8 bricks out of 41. In my eyes, that's maybe a little too much. If you want to play an 8 brick, I think you might as well go to like 45, and then add 2 additional starters alongside the 2 additional hand traps. That way you balance out your ratios of hand traps and starters, but also you drown your bricks in a larger deck. So I'm actually going to make a video on the maths for Blue Eyes, but I think this is definitely something that you should look into, because otherwise, yeah, you're definitely going to be drawing the shit cards way too often. I'm not necessarily against Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. I do think it might actually be logical to play someday, but maybe not right now, even though it's very good against Ryzeal Detonator. The real problem is really just getting your stuff going against this deck, because honestly, getting all of your cards destroyed all the time is definitely not how you should plan on, you know, breaking the board going second. And by the way, there is a really cool tech that they're going for right now in the OCG. by playing Snake Eyes Execute Dragon. It is a level 12 Dragon Synchro monster. And level 12 Dragon Synchros are actually very easy to make in the deck, because even if you're locked under Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon, you can still make Snake Eyes Execute Dragon. And since it is a level 12, you can either summon it off of Crimson Dragon, which this guy does not play, but it doesn't matter, because if you get Nibiru'd, you get a level 11 token, and there's infinite lines where you get Nibiru'd, you just go, okay, extra normal summon for an Effect Veiler or a Sage with Eyes of Blue, search Effect Veiler, and then make the Snake Eyes Execute Dragon, and then, you know, you play from there. So that's actually really good. I do think that this card is incredible, and once we get it in the next set, it will definitely be a nice, small little buff for the deck, but definitely an extra deck slot that you have to dedicate to this card. So yeah, it's a fantastic card for sure. The side deck is insanity. I can't believe that they have Artifact Scythe and nobody plays it. Absolutely nobody. I think there's madmen for doing this, because if it was me, I would be playing Scythe and Sanctum in every single one of my side decks. It's such an unfair combination of cards. It's worse than Dimensional Barrier. I can't believe this is still a thing. And they're stupid enough to limit a card that is only played as a one-of. Why, Konami? Why limit a card that is just... It's so dumb. It's so stupid. My god. I think there's been other situations in history where... Oh yeah, limiting Shooting Riser Dragon and Crystron Needle Fiber. That was dumb as well. Was it Needle Fiber? I forgot. But yeah, they limited one-ofs. Like, come on. But yeah, this is the exact same. Don't limit this card. Ban it. I can't believe it's around. But yeah, there's a lot of one-ofs in the side deck, but I'm not going to complain too much. I think I kind of do the same sometimes. But at least my one-ofs are searchable, or at least they're broken, like Duster. It's the only good one-of that I always recommend playing, and obviously Heavy Storm if you can play it, and Skill Drain, and Red Reboot, just because they're good cards. I don't think any cards that do a similar role are as good. Like Power Sink Stone is clearly not on the same level as Skill Drain, so obviously, even if you like... you know, well-pleasing aesthetic side decks, like, stop it. Just play the good cards instead of just doing, like, 5 3-ofs, because that's usually what we do in the TCG, but in the OCG, nah. It's like 10 1-ofs, and then a couple of 3-ofs sometimes, but yeah, usually it's kind of, like, all over the place, so siding patterns can be a little hectic for them. Anyways, this is White Forest, and it's a really big one, and I am absolutely not gonna be reading any of that shit, and the reason for that is because Appaloosa is involved, and Appaloosa is the main reason how they beat Nibiru, so obviously why would I waste my time looking at any of this when I know for a fact that in the TCG this deck is going to be completely different. Again, no Appaloosa and no Baron de Fleur, meaning that the way you beat Nibiru is by going into Caesar or by playing conservative. Actually, I lied completely. The way you beat Nibiru is by making Ilya Sylviad, so just forget about like the last 10 seconds of your existence. But yeah, this is a 44 card deck list with a solid amount of 1-card starters. So we've got 3 Sylvie, 3 LZ, 3 of the field spells, which is pretty nice actually. 1 Deception, 1 Witch, 1 Wanted. Okay, yeah, alright, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna say anything here. This does nothing, this does nothing, this does nothing, I think. Or it might do something, but it's not too great. And then, yeah, okay, a lot of anti-hand trap cards. Chicken Game with this. Actually, Chicken Game is really good in this deck. Really, really good. It's just like a free pitch for your White Forest effects so that your Rusia always draws a card. And LZ is always free real estate. And also for your extra deck cards like Arciela and stuff. And, yeah, also Woes and the Shit Trap card that you need to send off of this so that you can search this. Yeah, it's pretty much a 1-card combo. So, yeah, I mean, hold on a second. Actually, this does something in your hand. Never mind. This, and this don't really, though. Yeah, that's the only problem, I think. Yeah, a lot of, like, soft bricks in this deck where they're, like, combo pieces. They're not, like, terrible to draw, but you'd rather not draw them because your engine accesses them anyways. That's, like, my one and only issue with White Forest. I think this deck list is... It just plays a little too many cards that I don't think are needed. I don't think necessarily that set rotation and Chicken Game are bad. Actually, if anything, I'd even go as far as to say that they're pretty good because it makes you play around Imperm, and Chicken Game is a great card to include in your deck anyways. So there's kind of like no drawback to playing this package. So it does make sense, but yeah, I don't know about playing Woes and the quick play spell card that summons Guardian Camaro, which by the way is one of your 6 interruptions that you make off of a 1-card combo that can beat Nibiru. That's pretty scary. But yeah, this deck is very complicated to play, but also very rewarding, although it does lose a little too hard to like pretty much every hand trap that you can think of, if you don't know how to play the deck, but it doesn't lose to board breakers whatsoever. So if this format ever becomes a board breaker format, so for example, if Mermail and Maliss gets destroyed, this deck is going to be extremely, extremely good. Because obviously, if Ryzeal is like the only deck out there, then clearly people are going to start playing board breakers instead of hand traps, because once we get this card right here, Star Ryzeal, your hand traps are doing nothing because they're searching the field spell with either Star or with Do a Drive, so you might as well not even bother playing Veiler, Imperm, and stuff like that, and just play board breakers. And White Forest really capitalize us off of that because they make infinite negates like Ilya Sylvia, Baron, Apple, which doesn't really count, but who cares, and then... yeah, more things. I can't think of anything, but you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, very good deck, and yeah, really good deck. But yeah, in conclusion, March, I didn't even know read that, so I'm not even gonna pretend like I have anything interesting to say. But yeah, just read it yourself. Too tired to keep going. It's like 1:45 in the morning right now, so whatever. Let's just call this. Let's just call it quits for this video. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know how you feel about the OCG format in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.